Hello and welcome. Hi, I'm Dan Cornwall, and it's a huge privilege to have with us today Jess and Lisa to talk about the business transformation project that's been happening at Southern Cross Travel Insurance, Project Awa. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Dan. My name's Jess Kelso, so I am a project manager in the digital team at Southern Cross Travel. So I guess my role here has just been to pretty much structure the project in a way that is going to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and when and keep things on track. That's me.
My name's Lisa Smith. I've been working for Southern Cross for a while, straight out
20
of
years.
school. And my role is a business lead and technical systems analyst. So we write the requirements, make sure that everything is documented well so that I can help support Jess with making sure the project keeps on track and moves along.
Great. Thanks, guys. The reason we wanted to talk about this today was that it's a unique business transformation story. You guys have been tackling a huge amount of digital change at all layers of the business. Could you give us a short summary of Project Awa and the drivers for it and how we've worked together on it?
So Project Awa is a technology transformation project. It's essentially replacing our core technology systems and looking at rebuilding a lot of our customer front-end experiences as well. We currently have a core policy admin system and claim system for back-end services. It's the backbone to what we do day to day, and we wanted to move away from having this all-in-one system. The scope of Awa provided the opportunity, considering we've got new technologies in the background, to actually look at rebuilding and redesigning all of our front-end customer buy journeys. Then, considering we were replacing the core policy administration system in the background, we needed to enable a whole lot of functionality and bring it over from that core system to our agent portal.
Project Awa is basically to help enable more functionality to customers, more functionality to internal staff, and bring in new partners that can help sell our insurance and utilise new technology. And we couldn't do that on our current vendors, so we needed to look at other options and see if it made sense to have more modular companies help build our systems to enable these features that we couldn't provide our customers in current state. And ClearPoint came on to help us with the designs and bring that to life and bring the customers and our internal staff on the journey of showing where we're going and what the direction is and how it could look to make it an easier process for people to be on board with the projects. And yeah, we showed them to the board as well. Having ClearPoint there to put it into pictures helps everyone see what we're planning and how that's going to look and what it will look like and how it is going to be much better than our current state.
What can you tell us about where you were starting from before you started doing this transformation?
Most of our business, obviously, is customers coming and saying, look, I need some cover while I'm travelling. And so getting quotes and buying policies and making sure that they've got the cover that they need when they walk out their front door, really. And we're coming from a place where we have had this kind of core policy administration system running in the background. We've been with the vendor for a number of years, and we were starting to look at other opportunities that we wanted to enable for our customers and for our teams to get a better customer experience and staff experience, because it was a monolithic system and we didn't have a lot of flex in that system. And so got to a point, really, because of a number of drivers, to look, is it time to move away from this, move to a kind of more modern architecture and look at what else we could improve along the way for our teams and our people. We wanted to do a really cool look and feel refresh for my SCTI as well. So that's for our customers to look at all of their policy information. They have all their policy docs and things all loaded in there automatically. If you say you booked your travel, you booked your policy with us, and then you go, oh, actually, we want to extend our dates, or we actually want to add this destination in for a week at the end. Usually you'd have to give us a call and we'd do all of that for you. How do we give you guys as customers the ability to do that yourself, to see what change in premium that might look like? So those are things we've been exploring as part of Project Awa as well.
Having a bit more control on our design, the capabilities and the functionality that we can offer customers. We were really stuck in what we have currently, so what we're moving to is going to allow us to have more control on the requirements and directing what we need as a company to our customers.
Cool.
Yeah.
we've got a number of competitors in the market, and if they spin up a new product or a new offering, we want to be able to be really responsive to that. And so for us, the kind of the platform that we're currently on and that we're moving away from didn't allow us to do that. So we want to be able to really quickly spin up a new product, change our pricing even on a weekly basis to make sure that we can maintain that competitiveness in the market. So that was a big kind of driver in making sure that our technology is actually an enabler for us. That's what technology should be, and at the moment it's not.
Yes.
Interesting. In that, I guess, running of the business kind of situation, your ability to come up with new product offerings or respond to competitors is being directly connected to your core legacy platform?
Yes, correct.
But also, we want to allow us to expand in other areas. Like currently, we're only direct to customer, where we want to be able to bring in more partners and expand that way. It's around that control of the requirements, how the system functions, and that's really limited with what we got now.
And was there a particular trigger? Did something happen where the business went, let's make a move?
Actually, one of our third-party providers that we use that is integrated into our core system, our main assessment tool for customers' medical, they were sunsetting that product. And to move to their newer product, the newer technology, enabling new features, our current provider would have taken 18 months, and that would have meant that we wouldn't be able to sell our products because we couldn't meet the target of that sunsetting date. So that was the trigger, and that was the push to make us start looking into what we can do and if we can bring this in-house and what would we need if we were to bring it in-house.
Puts you in a real stuck position, eh? Be able to operate a business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think, for us, that was one of the reasons. But in terms of uptime and making sure that when customers jump on our website, that everything is available and like they're getting the speed that they need and all of those other things from a customer experience perspective, we'd already been looking at that and whether our current vendor was fitting the bill there in terms of kind of reliability as well. So it's been in our thinking for a little bit, but I think that really was the trigger around that third-party vendor, and we had to stop and go, look, if we're not going to meet it, what are we going to do here?
That's interesting. So not just the technology, but also the long-term relationship with that partner and their responsiveness.
Yeah.
And you mentioned sort of 18 months, and it strikes me that you end up in a position of saying you could invest all of that money, spend even more than a year, and still end up the same place where you are, not even have that kind of improvement in capability. So you can burn money staying in the same spot just to try and keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. And just building in more technical debt, because we always wanted to look at a partner that had a technical roadmap that was more aligned to ours in terms of new features and functions, and for us to be able to input to that and go, hey, this is something we need, can you look at enabling this feature? And so our current vendor, we were at the mercy of their roadmap, and strategically it was no longer aligning either for us. Yeah, that was part of the reason as well why we thought, okay, if we need to do something differently, let's look at everything and figure out what we want to do and how we want to do it.
And I was going to say, and technology-wise, they were still on-prem, so they had that old technology that our users really struggled with, and we had daily complaints on that. And so, we could have spent all that money, 18 months, and we still would have been in the same state. We wouldn't have improved anything from anyone's point of view, apart from that we would still be able to sell insurance. So from a usability point of view, there was no improvement with spending all those months and work and money on that.
So actually much more ROI by doing something different.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
And was this did this come out of technology? Like, how did the business make a decision to tackle this as a transformation?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think our current CTO had been edging the board in the right direction around this stuff for a while. We've always been reporting in on those things I was talking about around kind of reliability and uptime and staff experience for us, because the one that we're moving off, this monolithic system where kind of our claim system is all completely integrated to it, and, what our kind of call centre team use, all integrated into it. And I guess we're not enabling our teams to be really efficient and really effective in the work they do because of the system. So I think some of that was being fleshed out along the way, and I guess seeds were being dropped around this kind of technology that we're on isn't good enough, and there's way better opportunities in the market. And so
I think a part of it is also the AI part, the component. Our current vendor was really behind in that space, where other companies are really picking that up and running with it. So that was also a driver too, because everyone wants to understand AI technology and utilise it the best they can. And our current vendor couldn't offer anything around AI, and we'd built a lot of that with this first phase of the project, and so that meant we'd doubled it up. So we'd built our own kind of AI checks, and then we had to use part of theirs to have one whole process in the system where it was double handling.
Yeah. So, sounds like you outgrew it.
Yes.
One of the things that I observed with you guys is that you, having been there for so long, Lisa, this wealth of knowledge, the expert on how all of the current states work, but then also in your team you had so many people that you could leverage that knew how the business worked and knew the process and knew how the process had been adapted to try and work through current state. But it does strike me that's a mixed blessing. And it's both a blessing and a curse that you've got people like yourself that know it so well, but also like operationally that's not a fantastic thing for the business that any human should need to become like an oracle of how to navigate the system. And then you're trying to hire people who are going to come to work, and then you've got this learning curve where they've got modern technology at home, and then they come in, they're using really old platforms.
Yeah, definitely. I ended up actually knowing more than the vendor on their own system.
Yeah.
Because they probably had turnover.
Yeah. So, yes, definitely I would correct them on their own system quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah. From a project management perspective, I'm always saying Lisa's like the biggest key person risk because of that very thing. If Lisa's away, it's, oh my gosh, who's going to know what to do here? Yeah, we're lucky that we've got a couple of awesome kind of SMEs in our team and things as well. But yeah, like you say, it's not a good model to have when
it's not where you want to be 5 years from now, and it's a lot of pressure to be that person.
Yeah, no leave.
Yeah.
But that's changing with this project, right?
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
The technologies are broken up. Yeah, it's documented. There's more AI and that sort of stuff that's been introduced and can be utilised. It's not relying on someone to understand what the system needs to do to get to a certain point. It's just the system does it.
We should probably talk about approach, but it does seem like one of the benefits that hadn't occurred to me as a transformation opportunity is that you go from a position where stuff's been around for 10 years or whatever, and there's one or two people who know how it works, and they get run ragged. But then as you're transforming, you go through this process of kind of spring cleaning. Like everything that you know has to be brought out into the public. It all gets documented. It becomes the requirements of the new system. So you systemize that human problem through the act of making requirements for the new system. So hopefully the new stuff is, we could call it Lisa or something.
2.0.
Yeah.
It's written down in the book now.
It's a really good point. Yeah, we're really lucky. And something that I think has worked really well for us is knowing that it was our digital team that are driving this project forward, but it's very much kind of all of business. It literally impacts every team in our business. And knowing that, we actually went out and we've done secondments from certain teams around the business to bring those subject matter experts in terms of what do you guys do day to day, what do your operations look like, what do we need to consider, what are the bugbears around current systems or processes that happen. And we've seconded people from around the business that have become digital SMEs really, that have made a huge difference to, one, bringing the burden off Lisa, but two, making sure that as we configure these systems that they are, like, we're really confident that
so
they
there's no
are
sort of downstream negative
purpose.
operational process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's been a really big kind of win or learning from us that,
Awesome.
It's also the engagement. It helps with the engagement, and it also allows the business insight into what technology does. So the people that we brought in also had connection back to those business areas. So they still had that relationship. So they would talk to their teams and talk about what we're doing and how we run things. It was quite cool, actually. It's good bringing that in.
Yeah.
And
I love that, so they can go back and go, this will be fixed. I've literally seen it being fixed.
I know, Or I think, and I'm sure this will come out later, one of the big challenges is like keeping the scope of a project like this on track. And I think we can stand there as the project team and say, no, sorry, that can't be in scope, or that has to go on a backlog, or maybe we'll be able to pick it up once we go live. If people from their own teams are standing there going, hey, look, guys, we've tried and we actually can't get it in this time, it just hits differently. So I think that kind of change management support that they've brought has been really helpful.
And they can see the workings. It's not just that technology said no, it's because XYZ, or there's this thing over here that's a lot larger than the small thing that we're concerned on. It's the bigger picture. They're able to expose the bigger picture to the other teams that aren't involved in our squad meetings, our daily stand-ups and that kind of stuff.
Yes, so
Yeah. It's actually been quite fun too, because when you're in projects, you lose a bit of that. You end up working siloed within technology, so it's making sure that we're not working siloed, we're all working together, and it's one project for everyone. It impacts everyone.
It's definitely felt like it got rid of a lot of the politics of trying to approve with other people's business units, as opposed to going, this is a business transformation. We all want this to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're really lucky that we've got an amazing project sponsor, our CTO, who's just so visible and active at that ELT level that, a lot of the time we haven't actually had to battle for anything, for resources across the business or for buy-in, because the whole ELT's like on this track where they're like, Project Awa is the priority and we need to move heaven and earth to make sure that they get what they need so we can get it across the line, because without going live, we just won't have business.
No, that's right.
We'll
write them down on pieces of paper.
Yeah, I know.
Do you want to talk about approach? So, like, how did you start? Because it was like a first phase, which I think was really targeted around that hot issue, around like the risk assessment. So there's like a clear ROI for that. And then that kind of opened the door for the broader thing that kind of had to happen anyway. But what was the momentum around phasing the project so it ramped up like that?
The first one was quite a short period. We had quite a tight time frame to get it done, but I think it showed that we were capable of doing it. And
so this is the first phase?
Yes, the first phase was just, we needed to get it done because it was sunsetting and we needed to bring in new technology, but it also showed that we could do it and we could do it well, and it was successful. So I think that was also what helped initiate and get the project moving on to the next phase pretty quickly too. We couldn't really stay with our current. It was the reliability as well, but also we couldn't downsize and such. We couldn't move our claims quicker.
Interim solution.
Couldn't. There was no other option.
And I think, like Lisa said, for phase one, it was really time bound, but we could then see the bigger picture and go, okay, what could we realistically do in this time frame, and how do we start to really decouple ourselves from this current technology and the architecture that we have? And it was a really good place to start. So what we did for phase one is we built our own kind of custom built what we call the agent portal. So that's for all of our like sales and service teams and all our intermediaries that sell on our behalf. And so, that was the first step to go, like Lisa said, can we do it? What does this mean? And if we can get this across the line, then it makes really good sense to do step 3 and 4 and everything else after it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it was quite good because we made quite a lot of learnings from it. We stopped and then we go, okay, what went well, what didn't go well, what did we learn from it? And then we brought those into the next phase, which I thought was really good for us.
I don't think we would be where we are today with what we're calling our phase 2, which is what we're in now, without those kind of learnings from phase 1, because it definitely wasn't smooth sailing. It was a really challenging few months, I'd say. We had to push the go live date back twice, not a huge amount. That was definitely a challenge. We had, lots of people working some big days and to get it across the line, but we got there. We had a couple of weeks between kind of phase 1 and phase 2 really kicking off to go, wow, like we got there. What do we do? What do we do differently? Because, so there are a lot of things that we brought in. So one of them was having a cross-functional squad structure. So I think that's been really helpful for us. So we've got 4 squads that are currently in phase 2. We've got developers in each squad. We've got QA or testers in each squad. We've got BAs in each squad. It's meant that each squad's got a really clear kind of directive, being able to make sure that kind of everything is well aligned.
What I was going to dive into was one of the things that was interesting in phase 1 was not just doing the underlying technical stuff around the risk engine, but actually that opportunity to create a new staff experience. And that was quite an interesting thing to do, and it was quite a pleasure for us to have that opportunity to do the design with you guys. The staff experience seemed to provide an opportunity to do a couple of things. One was it gave us a practice run at understanding all of the products and how they worked, but also as an output, it's a great win for staff to get a better experience so that they're on board with the rest of the project to create great experiences for customers, as opposed to the other way around, which you make it for customers, and then staff still end up with this kind of smelly back end that is not a priority, but actually doing it the other way around. It did feel like it taught us a lot around what the experience needed to be like for everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think like when we look at phase one of the things we learnt was around our trusted partnerships. Like we needed to bring in more capacity and capability into our team, and like we were just so lucky. We felt like we really landed on our feet, like getting you guys from ClearPoint, you Dan, yourself and Sheeman from that experience design view, because it's just not a capability that we had. And like you say, part of our strategy is like how do we support and enable our people to have really good experiences when they walk into the door at work. And so I think that being able to bring you guys in and go, actually for our sales and service teams and our other like intermediaries that are using this kind of brand new portal, what does good look like? And like you say, like how do we design the flows that make sense when you're on the phone talking to someone? So we were just so lucky to have you guys involved.
There's a very interesting context in designing for staff because they might use it every 10 minutes, right? So they're very frequent users of that experience. And they also have a whole lot of permissions where they actually know how the process is going to go, so they can predict whether the screen should or shouldn't allow them to do a certain thing. But on the flip side of that, they've got a customer on the other end of the phone who doesn't care, can't see anything, and they're trying to push and pull them in a different way. That's interesting as a starting point for then something that you can go back to a customer trying to do by themselves.
Yeah, that's true, eh?
I found the first part, designing the was amazing because you had outside context too, and you could challenge us on things and how we designed it, and you worked really well with all of us on the processes because we had what our current state was and we took that, but you guys really pushed us to think about it differently, have a lot of controls in the system that we could put in for the internals and externals that use the system as well. And then from that, we also took those bits and pieces that we needed to have really clear and communicated well to our customers onto the website with the new designs there. It was really awesome working with you guys with that. As well as you had the prototypes and you guys spun things up so quickly.
Oh, so quick. Yeah, I know. We were like, have they done that already?
Yeah. And it also helped the business come along with us on the journey too, because we could display, we could show, because usually it's words or it's technical. It's quite hard to bring the business on that journey. But when you guys had the designs and you were challenging us and talking to the business too about the designs and how it was going to work, it really got that engagement and got everyone's buy-in.
Yeah, the prototypes were really cool, weren't they? Because usually we'd just spin up our staging environment and people could go through. But because we were just so pushed right to the end, you guys like did all these prototypes for us that we could use in that kind of change piece. But yeah, I guess our products and some of our business logic is pretty complex as well. And so to be able to get you guys in to understand like this product will flow like this, but that doesn't, and that doesn't have this, and that impacts that part. And I feel like we spent hours in those design sessions just trying to flesh it out. And yeah.
And it wasn't the plan, because originally we said, we don't need to do every screen. We'll just do the happy path. But it was so valuable being able to demonstrate how stuff changes under different circumstances, and then also being able to use it as a training tool for this is how the new system is going to work. But it was a real eye-opener, is because you could downsize, you could accelerate the design side of this and go, we're just going to build it, just do the minimum. But the prototype actually gave this artifact where, it's going to take another 7 months to actually build this, but having something tangible and real where you can feel it, and then sometimes bring that back in front of product teams and go, does this feel complicated to you? If we add all these terms and conditions, does that feel like a good experience? And we can actually have a real conversation about it?
Yeah, visual is definitely easier. But also, they're still using those prototypes. So they still use them for training purposes and things. So they're actually really valuable for the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still using them. So it's actually ended up being a tool that was really valuable to our company, but something that
we've got some longevity.
Yeah.
What about partnerships? To do this, you not only had the old platform that you were coming off, you had the new vendors that you needed to bring into place, working with ourselves, ClearPoint on the design stuff, and a range of other partners.
I think for phase one learnings, it was really around who can we trust, who do we want to partner with, who's in it for the long term with us, who gets us, and building that kind of, I guess, Southern Cross Travel Insurance IP with these consultants who were really in the tent with us. Like when you guys worked with us, and you still are very much like part of our team. So it's been really awesome.
Yeah, I know way too much about travel insurance.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, and I think, and that's probably the other side of it, right? Is that you think about, you're going on a holiday overseas, therefore you need insurance, but not realizing that there's 8 other products and a multi-country sort of presence as well.
Yeah,
And so
domestic travel.
there's a lot
insurance.
underneath that has to get worked out to make that work.
Yes.
Cool. What about challenges along the way? Any big hurdles?
Yes. I think digital and technology, there's a lot of personalities. It's easy to go into that siloed working behaviour because it's a big project, there's a lot to get done. So you just want to focus and get stuff done. But in the bigger scheme, that doesn't help working siloed. We need to work, cross teams, cross squads, and making sure that we're all communicating and working together. I think that was a big learning for us to take our teams on the journey of the whole business transformation. We've only ever done pocket projects where it's either a new product or a small enhancement here and there, where this is everything. Everyone needed to be upskilled on the business processes, and if you did this over here, it's actually going to impact this team and this team and this team. So yeah, I think the challenge was to quickly get everyone knowing everyone else's processes so we can make sure that this project is successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other big thing is that we've got this finite kind of piece of road left before our current system turns off. So literally, we're working on a very kind of strict timeline because it's pretty much the way the contract works. It's once every 3 years we have the opportunity to exit from our current vendor. So once we made that decision, we are off and running. There's no kind of being able to push back the go live date or anything else. And you look at other businesses doing transformation projects of this kind of scale and size, and it's, we've got a 3-year window to do this, and we're going to do phase 1 for a year and phase 2 for another 18 months. Whereas we're literally phase 1 and 2 is going to be done and dusted within 18 months, and that's new policy admin system, new claim system, new front-end website buy journeys, new cancel journeys, new claim journeys, new logged in my CTI portal journeys, upgrades to the agent portal, a whole data strategy project that goes alongside it, product upgrades at the same time. So the challenge is really that
you're discovering new systems, designing and building all at the same time, and you're just trying to make sure that's going well enough to keep the momentum going. You don't want anything to drop off. So I think that is a bit of the challenge, is the time frame with the amount of change.
Learning from the first phase was to break it up into sort of multiple squads. And I was super impressed with the way that you managed the sort of program of work, that you had all of these streams over time and how they correlated, but also that those included what was happening elsewhere in the business, because the business doesn't want to stand still just because you guys are doing a thing. So product is coming up with new stuff and marketing has to be involved in content. Yeah. But one of the things that worked really well from a design perspective felt like that stream approach then allowed enough of a lead time window for us to spend time actually cooking the design. Yeah. So we started with an iteration of this is what the customer experience is going to be like based on the staff agent experience, and then we went and user tested it and went, we're wrong. Yeah. Because customers don't know what access is and they don't think about it using any of those kind of frameworks that we were using. That seemed to have provided a good opportunity to have worked out the solution, and so then the design could go into user stories, and then that made all those conversations about what's ready for dev simpler, I thought, in phase 2.
Yeah, I think so. I think all the work you guys did, tapping people on the shoulder in the street and going, hey, try this. I just think that taught us so much. And I think there were other insights, like PwC had done that piece of research on kind of customer experience. And we had so much data and so much feedback from the calls that the sales and service team take. What was good about the experience? How would you rate the online experience? Yeah, you did have a little bit of capacity to actually pull all of that in.
And that was super useful as to hear, people frequently call angry because they can't do this on the website. It's we should fix that. Let's not do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that voice of kind of our sales and service team that are our front line, and same with our claims team really around, they know it, they live it, they breathe it every day. They get the same, like you say, customers calling up and saying, this is really hard for me, or I don't know how to do this. And so we could bring all of that in. Yeah. So I think phase 2's been good in that we've had a little bit more of that breathing space to get these designs just really good. And like Lisa's team just smashed out all the requirements, and we could reuse some of the phase 1 stuff, and yeah, it's been really good.
So where is it at now? On the downhill slope towards final go-lives?
Yeah, definitely. For my team, because we go first. In the development life cycle, it's always the requirements and everything that starts first. So for my squad and my team, we definitely go first. And so you always have different pressure points. So we were at pressure points at the beginning. Now that my squad and team are coming to the end, we're now supporting everyone else. So that's supporting with the testing, supporting with the business training. We are writing up all the SOPs and the guidelines to support the business. So we do all that, and it's like a business handover. Once the project's done, they own it now, and this is them. So we build them up, we build their knowledge and all that sort of stuff. So that's where we're at. And obviously there's still
That's
development.
Fantastic. So you're not really just throwing it over the wall and going, here, new stuff. You're preparing for it to re-enter the business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we write their SOPs, we give all their guidelines, we train them up. We actually do the training. We stand, even though we're not trainers, we help them and guide them through the training of the new systems or the changes that are coming for them. But at the same time, because we wrote all the requirements, we then also support the test team and the QA team and the developers on making sure that everything is still part of the squads and testing and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we think we're lucky. This project, as I said, it's like all of business, right? And so that change management side of things just couldn't be overlooked. It's just been a huge part of it. And I think, Lisa's team's kind of all the outputs that we need to feed into that business engagement, which is really ramping up now. We set a go-live date for our project at mid-July. So, it's really ramping up. But all of our website development is done and testing is winding up for a new claim system. All of our kind of UAT, again, is winding up at the end of this week. We've got some other kind of API testing to do, and it's really just that focus on testing and then all the planning we need to do around the deployment, because it's a pretty big deployment, and then hypercare. So we plan what that looks like for every single team and our customers. When we switch it all on, what does that support framework look like? So we'll be doing a lot of planning in that space over the coming weeks. So
And with the designs, with the website designs and everything that Shemin has done from ClearPoint, she's also helping out with the content because she knows designs really well. She knows where the content should be landing, so she's done an awesome job as well helping with that space and moving that along.
We've roped her into UAT testing. I messaged her earlier in the week. I was like, do you want to do some more? And she's like, I do, because you guys are awesome to work with and I love to help, but
I love that sort of sense of continuous responsibility, and you were saying about the BAs as well, but that early journey of design means that you learn so much, but rather than just saying, okay, that was the beginning and now it's somebody else's problem, that actually follows all the way through to go, you gained all of this knowledge, now use it in anger to see if the thing that we're making is the right thing.
So we thrash all those SOPs out through UAT. So we have UAT testers from across the business that actually run through the SOPs. So we're getting not a lot because the SOPs are
what's
awesome.
a SOP?
But standard operating procedure,
Okay.
SOP. So the testers are putting those through. So we're getting feedback as we go to make minor changes to the SOPs to make sure that when we actually hand them over as part of training that they are exactly how they need to be.
Such a huge achievement. I was going to ask, if you had a magic wand looking back over the journey, I was probably just thinking about if you could change something or you would have done something different now based on what you've learned, is there anything that you would change?
I would probably have, I think it's just my space and what I like to do, but I think I would have liked a little bit more time in getting to discovery and fleshing out the requirements and that kind of stuff. We did it really well for our time that we have, but if we had a little bit of time, I would have liked to do more discovery and more understanding of the system. So all the new vendors and us, we're trying to learn together. So learning how they were working and how we work, and we're trying to do that all at the same time while building. So I think it would have been
a really good point.
Yeah, it would have been really nice to have a bit of a design with our vendors to get that, maybe understand each other a bit better, or not that it was bad.
No, but it's a great call out because there's that storming and norming, and you, as you say, there's a formal sort of RFP kind of process and say, we have chosen you, but then you don't really get a window to go, are we both happy with the decision we've made together? It's like, let's go! And then you trip over each other as you go through it.
And all businesses have their own terms and the ways of working and that sort of stuff. Because we were all like, we need to deliver, we have a short time frame, we just jumped into it. It would have been really good to have a little bit more time just to sit down and go, how do our processes fit with your system? Yeah.
And if we call it this, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Like almost those kind of dictionaries and things, so that we're all talking the same language, I think, because it took a while. And I think some of our team are still coming to terms with, oh, that means bind and that means on cover and that means like completely different terminology that we have and that we have had in our business for a long time, that just getting used to. Dan, you've been an awesome part of our team. We'd love to hear probably from you around what your experience has been working with us and the team, and what you felt like has been some of the success factors that have got us to where we are today.
It's been a huge privilege being able to be part of your team. Just as a name drop, that you guys won an award for your team culture, and it's hugely deserved. So Sheeman and I have been working embedded within your environment for must be over a year now, but it doesn't feel like being outside at all. It feels like being on the inside. And I think, as you said, Lisa, you adopted us so very kindly. But yeah, so it's been a hugely positive dynamic working with you guys, because everyone's rowing in the same direction, everyone's trying to get the same thing done. And the design mission has been really interesting, because you've got the privilege of Southern Cross Travel Insurance, which in itself is a well-respected New Zealand brand. It falls under the bigger umbrella of Southern Cross. But also, how often do a design team get the opportunity to reimagine everything, from the interfaces that staff are using, interfaces that agents outside of the business might be using? How do people buy the product online? It's your main store, so it's the main experience people are going to have. So how do we make that awesome? And then all of the kind of downstream experiences that customers might have. How do they manage their policy? How do they come back and make changes to their policy? Which is both interesting to design, but also really nutty and complicated, because if you're halfway through a trip and you decide to go to an extra country, what does that mean?
Yeah, the scenario.
So that's been hugely exciting to work through all of the complexities there. And I feel like we've learned the business back to front and front to back, but at the same time have such a great environment to get to work with you guys.
We've been lucky to have you, eh?
Yeah,
You guys are just
awesome.
absolute standouts. Yeah, I don't know what we would have done or what it would have looked like, eh?
Yeah.
It's been really fun, actually, lately. Yeah. We've had induction sessions with new staff that are starting, so we've been doing induction to Project Awa, kind of 101 sessions, because obviously it's a big project, and we talk about all these things, we're redesigning the customer journeys and this and that, and then towards the end I'm like, do you want to see it? And they're like, yep. And then you bring it up and they're like, whoa, like this is current state and then this is future state, and they're like, so yeah, just the work that you guys have done has been, so impressive. Everyone is just chomping at the bit, really, for this project to go live now.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see it go live. That's always the reward to the hard work.
Yeah.
I forgot that we also actually took your designs and took them to our externals. So we had partners that were thinking about joining us, and then they saw the portal that you guys designed and we're like, oh, this is amazing, that's a great system. And so it actually really helped the business bring on more partners to sell insurance, to log in. And so Jess and I joined a lot of external meetings to present the designs and the portal that you guys had done. We had quite a lot of good feedback from it, and we've brought on a lot of partners now that we never had before. We couldn't have done that on our current core system.
It wasn't intuitive at all, whereas now they're kind of like, oh, can we get new functionality? And, they're really engaged with us on that, using that tool. So, yeah.
That's super exciting.
It is.
It is,
yeah.
Especially when we saw these external partners first and they showed us the systems that they were using and they were complaining about them. And I was like, oh, it's better than our current core one. So we couldn't onboard them or bring them across because we had nothing better in terms of the system functions to present. The products and the pricing for us is where they really wanted to come to us. And then having the designs and the portals that you helped us build really brought these partners on.
Cool.
So, yeah.
That's great.
I think it's been cool, like, you guys have co-located with us quite a lot, which I think has really helped. So, we're a hybrid team, so we work part-time from home, part-time in the office, and having you guys in at the office has just made a huge difference, I think, to that working relationship, and being able to all get in a room and whiteboard some things out, and, like you say, the complex scenarios and things. And I feel like sometimes we walked out and we're like, we've got it nailed, and then Lisa would be like, oh, actually, I've just thought of what happens in this scenario, and we'd be like, oh. So it's been incredible to have you guys on board. Yeah, pivotal in the success of the project from our perspective. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's been a huge privilege to work with you guys and a really interesting project.